Hi, it's Saturday the 14th of June and it's International Knit in Public Day. I am not at home, I'm in Southampton in a hotel, but I am about to go out into public and I've prepared well. I have cast on this sock. This is the Year of Plenty pattern that I picked up in the Fasten Off Yarn Along last year, and I've already knitted one of these socks, but I kind of didn't get round to casting on the second. So I've brought that as a nice portable project. The reason I'm in a hotel is because we are heading off on another cruise. And this time it's going to be a bit different because we're heading up to Norway, which is obviously going to be a lot colder than cruises we've been on before. So I needed a hat, and as such I started crocheting one in the car on the way down, because of course I did. So far I've managed all of this ribbing and just started on the cable pattern. It doesn't really look like anything yet. I did have trouble with crochet cables again and had to wrestle with the hotel Wi-Fi to get the YouTube tutorial up, but I've cracked it now. It'll be fine. The ribbing did end up narrower at one end than the other, so the brim is going to be a little wonky, but who notices with a hat? Okay, it's really hot in here, so I am going to head off and yeah, I'll update you later. I'll be honest, I never did come back and update you later, but in my defense, there's a lot of distraction on a cruise at the best of times, and this one was our busiest yet.
I spilled it straight on myself.
I did find some time on embarkation day to settle down in the gin bar / library for some knitting. Even though it's so classy in there, I felt like they were about to throw me overboard at any moment. Progress is progress. But then by the time we'd made it through sail away, watched a show, stuffed our faces, and also Dave got his head stuck in this railing for a bit, we were pretty knackered and kind of just went to bed. No more crafting for me that night. The next day was a sea day, and we spent it exploring the ship, meeting pigeons, and of course doing a lot of relaxing out on deck. I was following the weather forecast and I knew that I was going to need that hat sooner than later once we got to Norway, so I made plenty of time for this too. Today also marked the start of one of our Discord's unofficial crafting marathon weeks, but instead of the usual 24 hours, I pledged to try and do 2.4 hours. Which I think we can all agree is plenty while on holiday. I found the bar that did the best mojito and got some more hat done in there, but ran out of yarn and was too lazy to go back to the cabin for more, so this was it for today. There was no more time to craft at night because this was fancy night. Look at us dressed up all fancy. Of course, we spent it at the extremely messy and not fancy at all silent disco because we're fiends for a silent disco, but no regrets. Okay, fine, maybe slight regrets. Day 3 saw us docked in our first port of Haugesund, and that hat was not complete. Luckily, the weather was okay here, and we had a lovely day out wandering around, meeting with a local friend for bakery goodies, and briefly being excited by a yarn shop on the high street, only to find out that it basically only stocked drops yarns, which I do like, but I can get those at home anytime. Back on the ship though, I managed a double whammy, working on my crochet hat while wearing this crochet jumper. That's got to be extra crafting points there, right? I finished up the last few rounds in the cabin before heading out for the night, stuck on this emergency last-minute pom-pom, and prepared for a very early start as we sailed into our first proper fjord tomorrow. Yeah, I timed that one well. Today was our most active day and also happened to be the rainiest, but our first activity was a hike that had me so sweaty I actually took the hat back off after about 10 minutes. Bit of an anticlimax, although the actual thing we went to see was anything but. Oh my god, no, no, that's my limit, that's my limit. I did it! I'm proud of myself. We then took a cable car up a mountain, and suffice to say, the hat paid for itself right then and there.
No regrets.
There were so many cool wool-based souvenirs available in all of our ports, but I ended up ignoring those and going for the jigsaw instead. A Mastodon friend bought this one on his Norway cruise recently, and I was not about to be left out of the fun. Plus, buying it at the top of a mountain makes it extra cool. Our third stop was my bucket list port of Flom, and even the night before, our captain had predicted heavy rain and cold temperatures. So imagine our surprise. I have never been so happy to not need something I've crafted. Nope. We headed off on a fjord safari, which is maybe the best thing I've ever done on holiday, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. Then we spent the rest of our day just having a nice walk. Before coming on this trip, I'd been excited to visit a local yarn shop, so was incredibly disappointed to find out that they're shut on Wednesdays. Seriously, I was so excited when we approached, and it turned out to be open after all. Absolutely made my day, as if it needed anything to make it more perfect at this point. The lady in the shop was lovely and didn't hold me being English against me. I had a yarn budget from leftover birthday money, and most of it was spent in here. It's funny watching cruise vloggers wander in here and be confused about why there's a random yarn shop in the middle of nowhere. But I'm glad, because that's the only way I learned this place exists. Go visit, support random yarn shops in the middle of nowhere. Buoyed by the day's successes, I managed a little bit more knitting at the bar, but admittedly I was more in it for the pina colada. Our last port was Stavanger, which I think the prettiness of the old town kind of speaks for itself here. But we took a ferry ride over to another well-known fjord, and once again, the hat came in clutch. We did get rained on, and it was very cold, but we also saw some goats, and that one weirdly square rock Tom Cruise fell off that one time. Then returned from our rather chilly trip to a gloriously sunny Stavanger. Typical. I had 2 yarn shops on my list, the first being Magiska Maska? I don't know. Lovely little shop though. The guy was definitely suspicious of me filming in there, and I so need to get better at saying things like, I am actually a knitter who is here to spend money, please don't think I'm taking the mick. But hopefully when I did buy this lovely teal sock yarn, he forgave me. Also of note, he offered to wind this for me right then and there in the shop, which is always a good service to have. I kept it in the hank though, easier to squish into a suitcase that way. Next up was this shop that I will not try and pronounce. It's tucked in halfway up a hill and easy to miss, but I'd done my research and knew to just look out for this pink building on the corner. Again, a lovely little place, and also this one had sewing fabrics and various cross-stitch bits as a bonus. One more hank of souvenir yarn, and that was sadly my birthday money all gone. Still, not a bad haul really. A scenic wander back to the ship, another silent disco because, like I said, fiends for a silent disco. And that was it. Last port day complete. We did have one more sea day to unwind though. Welcome to the sea! And while I didn't manage much of note other than napping and eating ice cream, I did technically do about 5 minutes more knitting before getting distracted by a weird blob out in the sea that I am still convinced was some kind of giant magical tree. We checked off a few ship to-do items, lost a tenner in the casino, met Sean the sheep, and eventually managed to climb into this chair. I can't do it!
Just hop up. It's alright, we can edit that.
But that was sadly that. And I was feeling so car sick on the way home the next day, I hardly managed anything on the way home either. Of course, I did start the next project that very same night, because you've got to do something to distract from the post-cruise blues. On to planning the next trip. And on to planning the next video, which is made possible by the support of my lovely members over on Ko-fi and especially the Stitch Squad. Marianne Johnson, Sunny, Candy Riley Pettinger, Laura Salets, Enlightened Flamingo, Angela Sue Harrison, Emily Hobbs, Lee the Cozy Crafter, Sarah, Angela Wells, Enraged Flamingo, Alicia, Louise T, Mel, Juliana Banana, Stacey Ann, Tammy G71, and to Power Vulcan. I'll be back soon with some more crafty nonsense, so in the meantime, have a brilliant rest of your day and keep making cool stuff.